Hello there, one and all, and guess what? We have made it to episode 350. I genuinely cannot believe that. Episode 350 of Love at First Scent with me, Persolaise, coming to you live from YouTube. Thank you very much for tuning in, whether you're watching live or you're watching the recording. And we are not going to be smelling anything new today or interviewing anybody, which is why I'm feeling a little bit jittery and a little bit uncomfortable because contrary to what you may think from somebody who has a YouTube channel, I feel much more comfortable talking about either other people or perfumes or other people's work than I do about talking about myself. But there seemed to be quite a lot of interest in my doing another Ask Me Anything video. It has been well over a year since I did the previous Ask Me Anything video, so it probably is time for another one. And what better occasion than the 13th anniversary of Persolaise. So thank you very much to lots and lots of you seem to have tuned in today. I'll have to use the mouse a little bit more obviously and more openly than I normally do to scroll through all of the comments. Get a few things out of the way first. If this is the first video that you're watching on the Persolaise channel, it's probably going to be a bit of a weird one. You may want to start with another one where we're actually talking about perfume. But if it is the first one, and if you haven't already subscribed to this channel, please do consider doing so. If you would like to find out how you can support my work, you should be able to see a link to my Ko-fi page in the video description below. And having said all of that, I think I am actually going to start by kind of saying thank you to all of you for all of the coffees and the support by having a sip of this coffee that I made. Now, this has been sitting here for a while I was prepping the video, so it's probably going to be a bit cold, but thank you very much, everybody. No, it's all right. And cheers to you. So, send some questions in because this is, as I say, going to be an Ask Me Anything video. And I have to start by genuinely, in a very, very sincere and heartfelt way, saying thank you so much to all of you. I know that I very often say thank you to you, but probably not often enough. When the big occasions come around, like reaching a certain subscribers milestone on YouTube or the end of a year or something like that, I say huge thanks to you. But if I do it frequently, that doesn't make the sentiments any less sincere. There is absolutely no way that this channel would have lasted as long as it has, that the blog, that the Persolaise.com site would have lasted as long as it has, if it weren't for your generosity, your kindness, your support, your encouragement, and your erudition. I've said this as well quite a few times, that I'm sure I learn more from you than you do from me, and that is the honest truth. And it's probably one of the reasons why I keep doing these videos. Number one, because I enjoy sharing the perfumes with you, but also because you invariably make me think of a scent in a different way, or a material in a different way, or a connection between materials in a different way, or a brand or a perfumer or whatever in a different way. And the word community gets abused and misused and overused and inaccurately used a lot, I think, nowadays. But it does kind of feel like we have managed to create a community that doesn't number in the hundreds of thousands, but that's okay. We've all got this point of connection between ourselves. And a lot of you take the time to get in touch with me outside of the forum of these videos as well. So thank you. I can't ignore these comments. There are so many coming through, and I didn't even say what the first comment was. So the first comment went to Just Add Light with a question. Now, the problem with putting me on the spot with these questions, I'm the worst candidate for an Ask Me Anything video because I'm rubbish at answering questions on the spot. So a lot of the time I'll probably thinking, oh yes, let me get back to you on that one. Just Add Light started with a question. What's the juiciest piece of fragrance news this year? See, I mean, I'm in a kind of privileged position that I do get to find out a little bit about. I get a little bit of advance warning of some things, but a lot of the time, I agree to respect embargoes, and so maybe there are a few. Okay, well, I'll say one thing that I suppose I'm allowed to say, because Acro, the brand that Olivier Cresp founded with his daughter Anaïs. And then there may be other juicy bits of news as well, but this is the first one that came to mind. Acro have already revealed publicly that they're going to be releasing 3 scents this year. And I think all I will say is that you're probably going to want to try all 3 of them. So is that juicy news? I don't know. Angela's here saying, hello, Persolaise and everyone. Very excited for this one. Sandra101 says, I can't believe I finally made a live stream. Been lurking for ages. Hello, everyone. Thank you very much for tuning in. I will definitely try to read every single comment as it comes up. But one thing that I will say is that if you ask a question that I'm pretty certain I've answered before, I've done 2 Ask Me Anything videos in the past. So if you click on the Ask Me Anything playlist, you should be directed to them. If you ask something that I think I've answered before, then I may just point you in the direction of the other videos. Carlos says, congratulations. So does Rachel. Thank you very much. I genuinely appreciate that. Oh, another question then from Rachel. What languages do you speak? I love the fact that you asked this, Rachel. And who are your favorite poets in each language? Ooh. Okay, the only language that I speak, vaguely fluently is English. I can get by in Polish. And my Farsi, which is the other sort of, language that makes up my heritage, my Farsi is pretty poor. I can understand the basics, but speaking is very difficult. I'm at that level where I kind of know some words, but I just don't have the confidence to string them together. French is very, very basic. And that's kind of it. My favorite poet. Oh my goodness. Do you know what? If ever any friends of mine are watching this, they're probably thinking, why is he hesitating to name his favorite poet? Because I suppose sometimes when something is staring you, my favorite poet is T.S. Eliot. I don't know why I even stopped to have to think about that. Yes, my favorite poet is T.S. Eliot. Yeah, there's no question about that. Polish poet. I don't know very much about Polish literature. I suppose anybody watching from Poland, if I sort of said so, I'm at Jan Brzechwa level, but no, let's say Szymborska, because I have read some of Szymborska's poems, and they've always been extremely impressive. Gosh, so many coming through. So good questions. Thank you very, very much. Let me just go through. If you asked a question earlier in the chat, just repost it if you can, because I think I want to just go and see what people are saying at the moment. Otherwise, I'll miss the instant reactions. T.S. Eliot, 3 hearts from Rachel. Glad you appreciate it. Belle Boots says, congratulations, thank you very much. What do you remember as being the most formative educational experience you had regarding perfume or the industry? There have been several formative ones. The most formative, I mean, I suppose if we're talking as a semi-sentient adult, because my most formative perfume experiences would have been as a child, growing up in the Middle East when my mum was working in a perfumery. Those were the really, really genuinely formative experiences. But I suppose fast forwarding that, there was a series of courses, perfumery courses, that I did at the Cotswold Perfumery in Bourton on the Water, I believe is called. Courses run by John Stevens, the perfumer, and they were invaluable. They were really, really invaluable, because it was the first time that in a kind of structured way, I actually started making some blends myself, trying to create accords, and really getting a sense of how difficult it is. That's why even though I may personally like or dislike certain scents, if somebody has actually put together a composition which is finished and cohesive in some way, I have nothing but respect for them. So yeah, good question. Kim Lewis says, what is your day job, Mr. P? Yeah, I'm always a little bit circumspect about that, because I don't talk about perfume in the day job, and I don't talk about the day job in perfume, but there is a day job. There very definitely is a day job, because this most certainly doesn't pay the bills. I mean, all of your coffee contributions, etc., are very, very well received, but and they help genuinely with things like, for example, paying for train tickets to go up to London for perfume launches and events and things like that, but they don't pay the bills. And I mean that in the nicest possible way. But I think I'm going to stick to the line that the day job is in education. It's in the state education sector, a very, very kind of particular branch of the state education sector. Before I went into the job that I'm doing now, I worked at a couple of secondary schools in the area as an English teacher. By training, I am an English teacher. And it's a job that has moments of intensity, shall we say. But yeah, I think if you don't mind, I'll keep those two separate. Gosh, I'm not going to be. I was not expecting so many questions. I should also say, and it's very, very weird saying this for this video, that if you're enjoying the video and you like it, please give it a thumbs up, because that helps. So let's go through some more comments. Joe M68 says, I know you're writing a novel. Yes, trying to. But are you interested in writing another book on perfume? Well, the answer to the question, am I interested, is yes. But will I be doing that anytime soon? I think the answer to that would probably have to be no, just because of time and prioritizing. And outside of this, outside of the day job, outside of trying to maintain Persolaise.com in some way, I think there is only enough time left for one major writing project. And so I've decided that that's got to be the novel. Rachel again says, who is your favorite British author? Gosh, so many. Again, I'm going to go with the first one that comes to mind, Kazuo Ishiguro, the author of The Remains of the Day and The Never Let Me Go and The Unconsoled and Pale View of Hills and The Buried Giant, amongst a few others. Nobel Prize winning author. But gosh, there are lots. I mean, lots and lots. I wonder if Colin Tabine counts as British, or is he from the Republic of Ireland? I don't know, but he would be high up there on my list. Abdul Razak Gurna, I suppose, now counts as a British novelist. But yeah, the first one, the one that instantly comes to mind is Ishiguro. I am so not going to keep up with these. Oh my goodness me, how many questions have you already left? Christine says, congratulations on a fabulous 13 years and 350 episodes. Keep up the good work. Thank you very much. Lovely shirt, Mr. P says, yes, it's a sort of, this is my Pedro Almodovar jumper. A lot of you will probably recognize this graphic from the poster of All About My Mother. So this is its first outing on a video. I was very, very taken with this. I had to buy this as soon as I saw it. Out of curiosity, going back to my book, says Joe M68, what genre is your book? I suppose if it has one, we would call it literary fiction, accessible literary fiction. Ascent Genie says, which is your favorite of Pedro Almodovar's films? Ooh, I think he is going through a really, really fantastic period at the moment now. I think the last few films that he's done are amongst his best. I really loved, but all of the titles are going to escape me now. What was the most recent one with Penelope Cruz? Parallel Mothers, I really loved. Then was there one called Julie Julieta or Julia Juliet, something like that? That was brilliant. I think that may be one of my favorites of his of recent years. Favorite of all time. I remember being very, very taken with Pain and Glory. But is there a favorite? Bad Education was good as well, wasn't it? I mean, I know actually people cite All About My Mother as one of their favorites of his. That hasn't actually been one of my favorites of his. Talk to Her was great, wasn't it? Talk to Her was wonderful. Women on the Verge of a Nervous Breakdown, of course. Yeah, lots and ooh, and what was the one where Antonio Banderas plays the really, really creepy plastic surgeon? That wasn't received very well, but the skin I live in, the skin I inhabit, or something like that. That was very, very, the skin I live in. Yeah, thank you, Lindsay. That was very, very effective. That was really striking. So much better in Spanish, right? La piel que habito. Sorry, mangling the Spanish. Okay. Devour Their Souls says, hello, Mr. P. Good to see you on a day off for me. Thank you very much. Congratulations on the birthday. You know I love all your work. Thank you very much. That's very kind. You deserve all the success coming. Well, I'm not sure I deserve it, but I'm very, very happy to have it. Thank you. Would you consider your own perfume? People have asked me that. I don't know. Can I have another sip of coffee while I consider this? I don't know. And this is really not me, you know, kind of trying to get somebody to be interested in creating a brand. I think I mean, yes, the idea of being some sort of a creative director and, you know, maybe having something that would mean that I get to work with a perfumer and put together a vision. The idea of that is fantastically appealing, and I think it would be tremendously interesting and rewarding work. But so many things would have to come into play, and I think knowing myself, I wouldn't be able to do that in a kind of half-measured sort of way. It would have to be all out. So not much of an answer to your question, I'm afraid, but I don't know, I think is the only answer I'd be able to give. Club Smells says, hi, Mr. P. What fraction of your friends are not into fragrance? Oh my goodness, most of them. Vast majority of them. I mean, I think actually I only have a small number of friends who really are, well, I don't have very many friends anyway. That's the truth. But I consider Neil Chapman of the Black Narcissus blog to be a very, very dear friend. Out of all of my close friends, he's probably the one who is the most into perfume. Although that isn't really the basis on which we connected. I mean, perfume, I guess, caused us to be introduced to each other. But no, the vast majority of them, when I'm thinking of some of my childhood friends that I'm still in touch with, they enjoy perfume, but to them, you know, this is this kind of, you know, this funny, weird thing that I do. And what kind of coffee is it? Except it was an Nespresso pod. I think it was a blue one, a dark blue one. Ryan says, if Sire P had a perfume line, I would purchase every single one without hesitation. That's very sweet. I wonder if you would. Prashant says, not a question, just a video suggestion. I really hope you do an Andy Tower interview here at some point in the near future. Well, it's not for want of trying, okay? Andy Tower, consider myself to have been very, very fortunate to have met him several times, but not for a few years now. Andy Tower is without question one of the nicest, kindest, most genuine people I have met in the 13 years of doing Persolaise. He is just without any question one of the good guys. But I think, and I hope I'm not putting words in his mouth here, I think he made a decision a while ago that he would not be doing so much of this thing anymore. You know, the putting himself out there on the social media so much, interviews, he blogs a lot less than he used to, and I completely respect that. And I've made it clear to him that he has an open invitation to come on this channel for an interview, but I just think he's not interested in that. I think he wants to devote his energies to scent creation, which is absolutely fine, and it's probably one of the reasons why so many of us love and respect him so much. Proto Society says, would you say you're introverted or extroverted? That's probably for you to answer. See, because I'm thinking one, and you're probably all thinking the other. I don't know. DJ says, I knew this would come up, but let's tackle it. DJ says, will you continue to give your thoughts on Amouage items, or will you refrain from doing so? At the moment, I am still in the no reviewing Amouage mode. The brand remains very, very dear to my heart, but a lot of you will know now. I mean, it's a blurb that's been on every single video now for a while, that because of some work that I did for them and some work that I've continued to do for them, I've decided it would just be inappropriate to review their new scents. But I kind of go with my own little self-imposed rule that I'm okay to talk about anything that they made and released prior to whatever the date was. I think it was, what was it, 2021, 2020, you know, prior to when my involvement with them became a little bit deeper. Scented Moments says, congratulations, Mr. P. What fragrance or fragrances made you want to start your fragrance journey? But it didn't work like that, really, because I almost didn't have a choice but to go on the journey. Another sip of coffee. Because to give you a very, very, very short version of the story that I think I've told several times, I grew up in the Middle East, and my mum was working at a perfumery, one of the, well, I think the only independent Western-style perfumery in Dubai at the time. So not only was she immersed in that perfume world and would talk about perfume and bring testers home, but I was also living in a place that was insanely interested in perfume and very much steeped in perfume tradition. And the perfume journey started whether I liked it or not. You know, there wasn't a moment that I didn't have a going down the rabbit hole moment. Okay, clearly I did, but you know, I was 7 or 8 years old, and so I don't remember. To me, it was always as natural as breathing. But thanks for the question. Caroline says, hi, Monsieur P. What are some of the oldest fragrances that you have in your collection, as in the ones that you have had for the longest time? Oh, okay. The ones that I've had for the longest time. Oh, I'd have to go through my list, but I've got a fairly old bottle of Guerlain, l'Instant de Guerlain pour Homme, the intense version, the EDP. I've got things that have been in my collection for the, bizarrely, randomly, I have like an old Zara vetiver that I just picked up. It was like ridiculously reduced, I think, like down to €3, and it was a massive bottle, like a sort of 200ml bottle. That's been there for a while. I have an old bottle of Guerlain's vetiver, you know, the cooling vetiver version that they did, whatever that was called, the Eau Glaciale. What else comes to mind? I have an old YSL body Kouros, but again, these are, so I'm going with what you said about things that have been in my collection for the longest time, because if you've watched any of the videos, you will also know that I have an old Chanel No. 5, I have a YSL Paris, but they were old bottles that I recently acquired. But yeah, what else? Probably like an old, maybe an old, no, I don't have an old Le Mal, but I have an old Jean-Paul Gaultier Le Mal summer edition, because I went through a phase of wearing the summer editions, and I think an old l'Odyssée pour Homme, an old YSL Rive Gauche pour Homme. Yeah, a few. I wonder why you're asking. That was a great video with the vintage Chanel, says Santini. Thank you very much. Oh, and people quoting poetry at me as well. Let's scroll up a tiny little bit, because I don't want to be unfair, and but feel free to, you know, copy and paste your comment back in there again, because I may just miss it. And I've got a couple of things that I've brought to smell with me, just to kind of mark the anniversary. We may be able to smell one of them. This is. I want to know how we say the second bit of the final bit of your handle. Is it this is dewy or Devi? So doing live streams is a brave thing, putting yourself out there and open to strange bloopers. Oh, that's what it's all about, right? Your shows are so well composed and you're a genuine soul. Well, you know, as long as you know how to fake sincerity, everything's fine, right? Thank you for your efforts. We are all the better for it. No, I am all the better for your kindness. Thank you very much. What are you wearing today? See, today I'm wearing something that I'm not allowed to talk about either, but I've got a drop of one on one hand and a drop of one on the other hand, and they're both from the brand that I don't review anymore. So yeah, that's what I've been wearing today. Mirish says, a little bit personal, but at which country do you feel at home? Now, I love questions like this, because I was thinking, and a lot of this sort of, these concepts go into my fictional work. I don't feel fully at home in any country. Where I live at the moment, so it's a little town in the south of England, very, very close to the actual south coast. I just have to walk a few minutes that way, and I get to the top of a hill, and I can see the coast. And I've been here now I've lived here for over 20 years. And I mentioned this to somebody the other day, and they said, oh gosh, so you must be really, really well settled there. And I thought, oh, I wonder if I would have described myself as feeling settled. I think once, and some of you may be able to relate to this, but by the time I reached the age of 8, I had lived in 4 different countries. And I think that experience colors the way you see things like rootedness and groundedness. And so and maybe that's the kind of writer in me, because I think writers to a great extent are outsiders, but maybe that's why I feel always a little bit sort of removed. But having said that, I have a kind of strange, inexplicable sense of feeling at home in certain parts of the world where I shouldn't feel at home. So I feel very, very, very at home in parts of France. There's just something about where I think, you know, why is this resonating with me? Why does this? I feel very, very, very at home, again, bizarrely, in Venice. Is it because that has a kind of East meets West vibe? And you know, perhaps I'm being overly simplistic, but when I go back to Poland, of course there is an element of feeling at home when you know a place very well. When I go back to Dubai, you know, I grew up there, so there is that sense as well of returning and journeying, but really kind of having an attachment to a place. No, I don't have that to anywhere really. Helter Skelter Jones says, any thoughts on the House of Floris? And speaking of heritage, British brands have Penhaligon's turned a corner recently. Floris is a funny one. I don't think I've really smelt anything from them for a while that has wowed me. So I don't have anything valuable to bring to the Floris contribution. Has Penhaligon's turned a corner? Yes, maybe. Yeah, I think maybe we could say that. Certainly Legacy of Petra was good, and you know, World According to Arthur was interesting, could have lasted a little bit longer. So perhaps. Good question, thank you. David says, Petit Grain, Neroli, or Orange Blossom? Orange Blossom. Although I love all 3, but Orange Blossom. It would have to be Orange Blossom, I think. Final sip of coffee. Thank you. It's very rude drinking in front of you. Thank you. Smarks says, is any of your fiction published or available to read? A few bits and pieces. If you go to my other blog, which I don't update very, very often, but it's there. So it's myfullname.com, dariushalavi.com. Perhaps I'll link to it. That's got links to some published works. There haven't been many. Many years ago, I had a short story selected for BBC Radio 4, and actually I read it on the radio myself. A couple of there was one story that appeared in a Canadian magazine, a couple of stories that were accepted for London events. One story was longlisted for a prize. Just a couple of things here and there, but nothing long form. So far it's only been short stories. But thank you very much for the question. Thank you. David says, what's the most polarizing perfume you love to wear out and about? I mean, I suppose within the context of the UK, it would probably have to be an oud, although maybe actually this is a perfect segue. This was not planned. Maybe it would be this one. So let's do this. The last time I had an anniversary video, I think I looked through the online perfume databases to see what scents were released in 2010, which is when Persolaise.com started. And I think once I talked about L'Artisan's Nuit de Tubereuse. Then I think I talked about Voyage d'Hermès. And this one that I've got here, I have reviewed and talked about before, but I thought let's bring it out here. And it's kind of polarizing. So let's have a little bit of a sniff, because it wouldn't be an episode of Love at First Sight without a little bit of a sniff. This is from 2010. I think my original bottle, I have a backup bottle of Absolu pour le Soir from Francis Kurkdjian. Pretty polarizing. Let's have a sniff. I love this stuff. And you know what? I was looking through, again, just the other day, I was looking through the perfume directories for 2010, and there was some good stuff released in 2010. It was a good year. I mean, the ones that I mentioned, so Nuit de Tuberose, Voyage d'Hermès, which I still think is really, really interesting. Oh, now I haven't smelled this for a long time. Isn't this just... I'm not going to review it now, because I've talked about it quite a lot over the years, and I did review it when it came out. I seem to remember I reviewed it with another quite polarizing one, which has ended up being a strong favorite, Dior's Leather Oud, the original Leather Oud composed by François Demachy. But this was special because I think it was a Francis Kurkdjian event that was one of the very first perfume events that I was invited to as a, a blogger, critic. And Kurkdjian himself came. It was a sort of dimly lit club not far from Covent Garden in London. And I had smelt this, and I think I got myself a sample, and I remember sort of thanking him for it and being so excited about the fact that, he was the person who actually made this thing that I loved, and being able to thank him for it. And Gavin says it smells like spiced honey cake and men's undercarriage. Shall we put that description to Captain Kirk? Yeah, but I know a lot of people like that animalic, funky kind of carnal side of it, but there is a kind of delicacy to it as well. In that sense, it's a little bit like poison. Mixing the gentle with the carnal, the delicate with the beastly. It's a real Beauty and the Beast type scent, and it's aged very, very well in that bottle. And famously or infamously, apparently it didn't do very well for the brand. And I think in an interview that Kurkdjian himself gave me a few years after the fact, he said that he has to consider the bottom line in his brand, and if there's something that isn't selling very well, he can't justify continuing to make it. And even though I think he himself said that he loved this, I think it has kind of gone now, hasn't it? I'm pretty sure that it has been discontinued. It is just beautiful. It is just beautiful. Really, really nicely done. So, anniversary scent. Perhaps I should wear it sometime soon. Some of the best educational quality videos are from Persolaise, says Rachel. That's really, really kind. Thank you very much. Ricardo says, do you ever revisit your own fragrance reviews and reconsider your written assessments? Curious if you ever fall in or out of love with fragrances over time. Okay, so the second bit of the question, the answer to that is yes, I do change my mind about perfumes. Oh, who's that come from? Is that anonymous? Because it just says W. Oh no, sorry, from Woozy. Thank you very, very much. Congrats on 13 years. Have you been enjoying or loving any of the new Amouages? I think all I will say to that is yes. See previously in the video for explanation why. But Ricardo, to go back to your question, yes, I do change my mind, and I think I actually remember writing about that in the blog. And it can go both ways. There can be a scent about which maybe I was initially excited, and then after a while I think, oh, perhaps not so great, and vice versa. But do I revisit the reviews? Rarely. Number one, because there just aren't enough hours in the day. Number two, because if I ever, for sort of research purposes, so I mean, sometimes I don't revisit the reviews just to see what I thought of a perfume. I may visit as in, no, hang on, let me put this right. So I don't do it just as an exercise in self-indulgence, just to kind of go, oh, I wonder what I made of this. There's always got to be a very specific purpose. So for instance, if I'm reviewing something new from a brand, then I may go back and just to consult my notes and think, what did I make of the last one? And invariably I find typos, and typos really, really, really irritate me. So that's another reason why I try to keep that to a minimum. And I also guess, I think, 13 years is a while. 13 years is enough time for your own tastes and likes and dislikes to develop. And I hope I'm not the same person that I was 13 years ago. I hope that to some extent I have grown and developed. Hopefully I haven't regressed, but hopefully I've changed, mostly for the better. And so I just have to accept that what was written 13 years ago and 12 years ago and 10 years ago, whatever, is a reflection of who I was at the time, and that's fine. That's all well and good. I mean, goodness knows my fictional writing has changed. Gosh, if I was still writing now the way I was in my 20s, then I think I'd just want to pack it all in straight away. So I hope that answers your question, though. Oh gosh. Afonso says, because you live in the UK, when you choose your scent of the day, is it a more wintry autumn fragrance, or don't you worry about that? No, I never worry about that. I never worry. I genuinely just, and I have to say that more often than not, really, really, really more often than not, I'm wearing something for test purposes, that I may review. Rich, thank you very much. I nearly missed that one. Thank you so much, Rich. That's very, very kind. Happy Persolaise birthday with a slice of cake. Thank you very much. A duck in the wild, yes. And what else have we got here? Prashant says, if you could go and live anywhere in the world and settle for the rest of your life, where would you rather be? Well, can I kind of answer that question in a tricksy sort of way and say that if I had my way, and if money were no object, I would just love to keep traveling. And I would love to find out how long it would take for the buzz of traveling to wear off, because I have a feeling it wouldn't ever wear off. I think clearly, obviously, it would be nice to, this is just like if one day I win the lottery, when it's one of those ridiculous jackpots. So this is complete dreaming now, but it would be nice to have a base, and it was fine for the base to be in Britain. That's absolutely fine. But then just to keep traveling and just keep going around the world and visiting as much of the world as possible. That's the thing. That's the thing that I wish there were more resources and more time to be able to do, just to keep traveling, keep seeing lots and lots of different places. What's your favorite raw material, says Dusan? I don't know if I have one single favorite raw material. I mean, there are so many that when I smell them, I'm just blown away by their complexity. I love, love, love smelling a really, really top. Oh, Susie, thank you so much. That's really kind. With birthday balloons. That's really cool. How did you do that? Oh, and it says, I've got a message here saying, celebrate the first super chat from Susie. Thank you very much. Very, very, very grateful. I love smelling frankincense. Really, really, really love smelling a beautiful, great frankincense oil. I love smelling sandalwood. Lavender, like lavender is just incredibly tuberose. We talked about orange blossom earlier. There are just so many materials out there. I don't have a favorite. I don't have a single favorite. Beardy says, based on your experience, what would be your advice to novices wishing to enter the field of reviewing perfume journalism? Okay, thank you for the question. I think maybe start off by really, really questioning yourself about what it is that you would like to achieve, or at least in the short term, because I don't think you can necessarily go into these things with a long-term plan. I mean, I certainly did not go into it with a long-term plan. I can tell you, hand on heart, with all honesty, 13 years ago today, I did not think I would still be doing this in 13 years, and I did not think I would be on YouTube, and I did not think I would have a book. Absolutely, I thought that Persolaise.com blog would come to a natural end within about 6 months, and I only started it because it was a kind of research into a fictional project that I was writing at the time. But I think it would probably help, with the benefit of hindsight, to think, okay, well, where are you going? And as you know, if you watch this channel, there are loads and loads and loads of different ways of reviewing perfume, and perfume reviews are probably on a kind of spectrum. And I suppose I'm towards one end of the spectrum. I suppose I'm towards the geeky, nerdy, contextualization end of the spectrum. You know, I'm one of the few people out there who will still do negative reviews, both here and on the blog. Um, but that is not to say that you know, there isn't room for the whole. That you know what I'm talking about. There are lots and lots of channels out there. At the other end of the spectrum, you have people who review perfumes wearing nothing but white underpants, right? I mean, you know, this is what is beautiful and also profane about the internet. That you get everything. You get everything that you seek, and so I think work out what you would like your identity to be. You know, if you could compare yourself to another reviewer, or if you could put yourself into a particular genre of reviewing, what would it be? If you could compare yourself to a particular, you know, think of something that isn't related to perfumery. So for instance, if you were to compare yourself to a particular magazine or newspaper, what would you do? I mean, I remember people back in the day saying, "Oh, you know, you're like the Times of perfumery as opposed to a tabloid." And over the years, I've kind of thought, actually, well, maybe I'm a little bit more like the Guardian of perfumery, as in the Guardian newspaper, or in terms of magazines, you know, maybe, I don't know, maybe Persolaise has always been a bit more, I don't know, Vogue rather than Grazia or something. I don't, but you get what I'm saying. So choose your identity, set some parameters, decide what it is that you will or you won't do. Draw some lines in the sand, you know, sort of say, okay, I will do this, this, and this, but I won't do that. And stick to that to start with and be consistent, because that will then help people out there to get you and to get where you're coming from and to decide if you're going to be worth their time. You know, I'm very, very, very lucky in that the vast, vast, vast majority of the brands out there are happy to remain in communication with me, even though they know that I could potentially do a negative review of what they release. But I think that's because they see the bigger picture, and they know that ultimately what I'm doing, hopefully what I'm doing, is just extending the dialogue about perfume. And if I do a negative review, it's not going to be spiteful for the sake of being spiteful, and it will also not be, well, hopefully it's not going to be mindless and personal against, you know, against the people involved or the perfumers involved. And I think they just get that, and then they respect that. So again, hopefully that's answered your question. What else have we got here? Joan says, I have learned and consequently... Oh, I've lost the comment. Why have I... Oh, here we go. So much... Oh, no, I've lost it again. Right, Joan. I have learned and consequently enjoyed so much about the wonderful world of perfume thanks to Mr. Persolaise's fabulous reviews. Happy birthday. Thank you very much. And I should say, actually, because we're at the 42-minute mark and time is carrying on, perhaps on this occasion, I will allow myself to go over the 1 hour mark. What do you reckon? Shall we sort of go like to 1 hour and 2 minutes? What do you think? I just always think that YouTube starts getting annoyed with longer videos. You are watching episode 350 of Love at First Scent. Gosh, there are lots of you out there watching today. We don't normally get these sort of high figures. I'm flattered. So why aren't you all giving it the thumbs up? Come on, let me see that thumbs up number go up. No, I'm kidding. Only do the thumbs up if you want to. So episode 350 of Love at First Scent with me, Persolaise, marking the 13th anniversary of Persolaise.com. We're doing an AMA, people. Ask me anything. And lots of good questions coming forth already. Thank you very much. Sue says, I love your channel and trust your nose. Thank you. Question, which Canadian magazine were you featured in? Hello from Canada. Okay, it was called, or it is called, Prism International, but you're going to ask me what it is. It's affiliated to a particular university. I'm sure if you just sort of like Google Canada Prism International magazine, it will come up, but I forget which university it was. Maybe it was in Vancouver, maybe. And I believe it's a well-regarded magazine in those circles, and I think it comes out, you know, a couple of times a year, and it features stories from up-and-coming writers. So Actually, I wonder if it's still going. Angela, that's very, very sweet. Thank you very, very much. Can you celebrate the first super chat from Angela? Let's celebrate the first super chat. That's really, really sweet, though. You're such a loyal and supportive viewer anyway. You really didn't need to do that, but I'm very, very grateful nonetheless. Your reviews are always fair, says Tamara. That's why I watch regularly. Thank you very, very much. Leandro said he said the YouTube thing. Oh, I don't know what that means now. Oh, because I've lost my flow here. Jonathan says Katie Puckrick, an older YouTube perfume channel, now is touring with Clem Burke from Blondie and an ex-Sex Pistols member doing a 50th Iggy Pop Lust for Life tour. Crazy, huh? Happy 13th, Persolaise. Yeah, but Katie, I've met Katie a few times. She came to my book launch. She toured with the Pet Shop Boys back in the day. It was one of their dancers. I mean, she's done lots and lots of different things. So I'm not actually surprised to read that. Oh, this looks like a heavy question. Let's do this one now. Blake says, if this was your last day many years from now, and the only thing you could leave behind was a piece of paper which lists your 3 truths, what would your 3 life lessons be? Whoa. Ooh, let's get deep. My 3 life lessons. I don't know. My 3 life lessons. I think you're kind of flattering me with levels of wisdom that I do not possess. Okay. I'm going to try not to overthink this. You can't change people. People can change, but you can't change people. That would be number 1. Number 2. Oh gosh, that got a good response from somebody. Maybe I should do more of these. So, sister, who have I missed 2? No, 1. I don't know. I'm getting lost now. Sister Parfum. Thank you very much for that. Number 2, communication is key. Communicate, because so often, don't you find that so often upsets and fallings out, etc., are caused by misunderstandings. So communicate, and understand and acknowledge that communication is work. It needs to be something that is worked at. It doesn't just happen magically. And third one, yeah, I suppose build relationships. Relationships are key because they are the only thing that we will have left at the end of the day. Good, this has all gone very, very heavy, but okay, is that 3? I'll probably think of like a million others now as well. Life without perfume is meaningless, says David. Well, that's because perfume is beauty, right? Sister Parfum says, for your amazing work. That's really, really kind. Thank you so much. But I love Woozy's one. Number 1, don't wear Aventus. Number 2, don't recommend Aventus. Number 3, don't buy Aventus. But did you know, and I'm sure I must have known this at some point, but I forgot, that Aventus came out in 2010 as well. So maybe I should actually finally do an Aventus video. Mr. Raspopital says, warm congrats, Mr. P. I wish you many, many years ahead with at least as much success. And I agree, you are the thinking, geeky person's reviewer. Yes, and you know, that is what it is. There are maybe not so many nowadays, but occasionally I will get a comment from somebody on a video saying, you talk too much. And I think, well, yes, I suppose I do, but you know, other channels are available. Nobody's making you watch this one, right? Sorry if you think I talk too much, but this is how we do it on this channel. Angela says again, never my creed would be one. Yeah, but these are not life lessons, okay? Should have done more top 10, says Pradeep. Yeah, maybe. Okay, let's look at some more questions. Oh gosh, lots and lots of things coming through. What would you want to see in the future of perfumery? And also congratulations, says Judith. What would I want to see in the future of perfumery? Well, I guess the answer to this one is a bit obvious, really. I would love to see a bit more innovation. You know, I Michael Edwards. A lot of you watched the Michael Edwards interview that I did just yesterday, actually. So grateful to him for giving up his time. The very first time I met him was at an event that was being held in Abu Dhabi, of all places, at the United Arab Emirates, and He said, oh, Joe M68, thank you very much. That's really, really kind. You've taught me a lot and continue to do so. Here's to the next 13 years. Very, very kind. Thank you so much. Michael Edwards said that most of the stuff that is released in the perfume world is Plonk. And I think that's such a superb, spot-on description because, oh, and Stephanie as well. Thank you. Happy 13th, Mr. P. Very, very kind. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And Plonk is the perfect way of describing it because most of the stuff that is released isn't rubbish. Yes, obviously there is some rubbish. There is some stuff out there that is just appalling and poor, but most of the stuff is pleasant, is maybe even likable and probably quite wearable, but it is just so entirely forgettable and non-distinctive. It is just Plonk, you know, the same as Plonk. You can drink it, it is fine, but 5 minutes later you've forgotten about it. What I would love for the future of perfumery is for people out there to genuinely be a little bit braver, a little bit more out there, and to stop trying to fob us off with gimmicks. You know, whenever I see a new brand that's got some sort of funny theme running through it, you know, this is the common thread running through all these perfumes, I just think, oh god, you know, did you spend more time trying to come up with a theme than you did on, you know, on the perfumes? A little bit like what Michael Edwards himself was talking about just yesterday on this channel when he said that when celebrity perfumes started becoming Nancy, thank you very much. Oh, I love that little keep it up gif. Yeah, that should be me lifting those weights, I think. Michael Edwards was saying that, you know, when celebrity perfumes came out, it became apparent that so much of the money that should have been going on the development of the scents went to pay the celebrities. So, yes, let's just have more good stuff. Tamara says, Michael Edwards' interview was fantastic. I am now on Wiki Parfum and it's great. It is a good sign. Dusan says, I'd love to see Ifra dying in the near future. Well, you know, I'm not sure I would, but let's not open the Ifra can of worms now because Ifra is as much about protecting people as it is about anything else. And you know, I'm not an Ifra spokesperson because hey, if something is shown to be, you know, problematic or carcinogenic, I don't want to be putting it on my skin, and I don't want other people to be putting it on their skin. But things I think need to be more nuanced. The approach is a little bit of a sledgehammer approach at the moment, and I think it needs to be a bit more sophisticated. Now, Costas is asking a question that actually I want to answer. I want to be able to answer myself because Costas is saying, any thoughts on the fragrance cartel investigation in the news? No, because all I saw was the headline just a few days ago, and I thought I need to check this out. So perhaps I will have some thoughts when I do some checking out, but at the moment, I don't know anything. Jan and Lee says, congratulations, Mr. P, on your 13 years. Thank you very much. Love your style and your kindness in sharing your fragrance knowledge. That's very, very sweet. Thank you. Glad for your recommendation of Guerlain's Naema. Bought it because of you. Oh, I'm so pleased. That's just so special. Woozy says, what do you think is the worst perfumery trend, comment gone, worst perfumery trend of the last 13 years? You know what I'm going to say. Woody ambers, you know, those masculine scents that contain that huge slug of woody amber in the base. You know, those are the ones that actually make me think, what is the point? Why do I even bother? And they're still coming. They keep coming. They keep coming. Lots and lots of them. Oh, going back to Ifra, Dusan says, I don't want to be protected. That's fine. Thoughts on the house of Aaron Terence Hughes, says Boogie Daddy. Tried them? If not, will you? I haven't tried them. I'm not at all opposed to trying them, but I haven't tried them. Raf Pi says, would you rather? Okay, here we go. Would you rather, number one, be in a world without perfume and only have the memory of your favorite perfume? These things. Or number two, live in a world with only one perfume. Yeah, but what if that one perfume is Aventus? Yeah, so I think I wouldn't want to risk it, and I would go for number one. Okay, Rachel. Why do these comments keep disappearing off my screen? Okay, Rachel says, favorite 3 film directors. That's hard because some of you may remember, I've told you this before, that at university I studied journalism and film. So film is a massive love. But it's not hard saying who my all-time favorite director is. He's the Polish director Krzysztof Kieślowski, who sadly no longer with us. Every single time I go to Warsaw, I have to visit his grave. I so wish I had met him, but sadly it wasn't to be. His movie Three Colors Red, which is the final part of his Three Colors trilogy, which also happens to be the very final film he made, is my favorite film of all time. So Kieślowski, number 1. But for the other 2 spots, that's tricky because I do have lots of favorite film directors, but without overthinking it, and this is going to be really bad because there isn't going to be a single woman on this list, although I love Jane Campion's work, but let's say Scorsese. Bit of a cliche choice, but there you go. He is genius. Let's say Scorsese and Kubrick. I love Stanley Kubrick's work. But yeah, there are lots. There are lots. Almodovar, I suppose. Milos Forman did so many great films. Angela says, I've discovered so many beautiful fragrances because of you, Mr. P, and for that I will be forever grateful, if slightly more broke. I know lots of people say things like that. Sorry, but at least you've got lots and lots of beautiful things in your life. We're 4 minutes away from the hour mark. Would you like me to keep going a little bit longer? You've got to send some questions. I'm able to. What time is it? It's going to be 6 o'clock. I need to start thinking about it. I need to sort of contribute to the supper arrangements. Shall I keep going for another 10 minutes or so? Dusan says, Milos Forman created Amadeus. My favorite movie. Amadeus is just so genius, isn't it? That is also one of my favorite films of all time as well. Too many notes, right? Too many notes. Lots of perfumes with too many notes. Yes, overtime, says the better third. Okay, we'll do a little bit of overtime. Prashant, again, says, if you could recommend someone their first perfume that can capture their imagination, blow their mind, and inspire them to appreciate this art as you do, which first perfume would it be? Right off the top of your head, right off the top of my head, Guerlain Naama, because that blew my mind. Guerlain Naama, and then kind of going down, not off the top of my head, Guerlain Abbey Rouge, Chanel No. 5, Frederic Malle Portrait of a Lady. That's probably enough there. Amouage Gold. Oh, and Amouage Gold. Yes. Let's go with those ones. Mariam says, are there any perfumes you only or repeatedly wear at special occasions, like Christmas, Easter, New Year's, your birthday, meeting a special friend? Yes. So I've just mentioned it. Guerlain Abbey Rouge tends to be a special occasion perfume for me. Andy Towers' Lone Star Memories tends to be a special occasion one. Oh, and Andrew H. Thank you very much for that. Really, really kind. I'll read the comment in a second. Special occasion ones. So yes, Frederic Malle's Geranium pour Monsieur, Cartier's Declaration. So yeah, there are some which are like mine that I reserve. Andrew H says, I prefer to listen to Gore Vidal speak, as in, that's kind, than a silly man in white underwear rattling off top 10 lists. You are Brando in a Kardashian world. Oh, I don't mind being compared to Brando. That's very, very sweet. Thank you. Probably not well deserved, but thank you very much. And Keith, thank you so much. This event deserves a little something extra. You already are the very, very extra. This is really kind. Oh, and Woozy's pushing it now, saying, what is your favorite woody amber? Now, see, that's a fair question, because you'd think there should be one, right? Now, which was the, because I'm allowed to talk about these ones by my own rule. Which was, when Renaud Salmon did his Renaissance quartet for Amouage, which was the one that I think was done by, no, I forget the perfumer, but the one that was a kind of slightly woodyish, amberish type thing. Was it Enclave? Somebody's Enclave. Thank you very much. See, I thought, oh, and Woozy, thank you very much. Yes, I'm going to read that too. So I think if you're going to do that kind of thing, then Enclave does it well. And Woozy, yes. Tomboy Neroli, thank you for reminding me, from Parle-moi de Parfum, is also a good way of doing it. Scent Genie, thank you so much. Really, really kind. What is the most emotive scent you've ever smelled? And I'm guessing you don't mean perfume here, right? An emotive scent. That's stumped me. Because I think for me the most emotive scents are perfumes. Chanel number 5 for me is extremely emotive, really, really emotive, and so is Tower's Lone Star Memories. So for the sake of the fact that we've only got about 10 minutes of the video left, I think I will leave it at that. Rachel says, "Can you tell us more about Madame Persolaise?" This had to happen. What's her personality like? She is the most patient, kindest, and most generous person I know, and we will leave it at that. She likes to be very, 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 very private, and she doesn't watch any of these videos. So I think we can leave it there. Oh, and of course, Sister Parfum, thank you very much. Après l'Ondée from Garland. That is supremely emotive as well, isn't it? And Frédéric Mal's En Passant, composed by Olivia Jacobetti. Club Smell says, "What's Mrs. P cooking for dinner?" We do take it in turns. Well, no, that's not fair. She does most of it, but that's well. I used to do most of it. Now she does most of it for reasons that we won't go into. And we're having something new. We're having a tandoori mushroom curry, but I've got to go and sort out the rice. And this is the kind of level of detail that I'm sure you do not want to or need to know. Oh, Jan and Lee, thank you so much. That's really, really sweet. Afonso says, chocolate cake or red velvet? Oh, definitely chocolate. If red velvet is just some kind of artificial coloring, like as soon as anything artificial like that comes into food, I'm not interested. Chocolate. And Rachel, goodness me, I was not expecting this. This is almost like you're funding another perfume bottle here, but thank you very much. Rachel says, best fragrances for 14 to 17-year-olds. I work in post-secondary and run a perfume club for my students. How amazing. We need to get you on here to talk about it. This is a question they always ask. Best fragrances for 14 to 17-year-olds. That's a good question, because I suppose what's behind your question is that we don't want something that is too challenging, too heavy, too dense. Too dense. I guess that's where we're going. So maybe Jean-Claude Eleanor would be good for something like that. Like we just talked about Cartier Déclaration. Maybe his YSL In Love Again. There are things out there. I'm sure there must be a few things from Parle-moi de Parfum. But then I guess another side of all of this is cost, because I guess we also have to assume that 14 to 17-year-olds are not going to have a huge amount of money, right? So that brings a whole other level of complication into things. I don't know how affordable some diptyques might be, but diptyque, I think, feels like in some ways feels because it's a brand with such a wide range, there would be some good entry-level things in there. But that's an interesting one. Maybe that would be a good idea for a video, actually. Perhaps we ought to do a video, and then maybe we could get contributions from... I think we need to do some kind of a joint thing, Rachel, where we get contributions from your 14 to 17-year-old club members and create a sort of transatlantic bridge between this. Yeah, 14 to 17-year-olds. I would have to have... Well, my family are probably not the best people to go by, because the sort of nieces that I'm closest to, because of their uncle Persolaise, they grew up wearing Coco Mademoiselle and YSL Parisienne and La Petite Robe Noire, of course, and also Penhaligon's Vara. So yeah, probably not the most representative example. But that's a good question. Thank you for that one. Rich Mitch says, do you watch any fragrance YouTubers? Ooh, controversial. Not many, but I think it's like, a lot of perfumers don't smell the work of other perfumers. A lot of film critics don't read the work of other film critics. I kind of try to just get snippets of other YouTubers' channels. So I'll sometimes check out Max 40. I'll sometimes check out these are not top 10 lists from our good friend and viewer here. Sometimes I'll check out Eugene. But I'll kind of do snippets more than anything else, really. And also I'm a reader, so I might read some things rather than watch videos. And let's do 2 more questions. Let's do what else would we go to? Rachel says they would love that, as in the fragrance group. Yeah, we should do something. We should do something. Does your little granddaughter like perfume, says Angela. She does. And yes, whenever she's round, she has to go to Madame Persolaise's collection and choose. But I'm going to forget what it was. She's consistently choosing the same thing at the moment. Yeah, she keeps going. Maybe it's the bottle, but there's a flanker of YSL Paris that Madame Persolaise has that I gave her years ago, which opens really, really beautifully. It opens with a genuinely proper Paris top note, and then disappears very, very quickly. And so it's perfect for the little granddaughter. But she likes that, and then she will always sort of come up to you and say, "I have perfume. Do you want to smell it?" So we have to smell it. Rachel says, favorite British chef, and why is it Heston Blumenthal? I don't know anything about British chefs. And Woozy says, you're a grandpa? Mirish says, I like Ouch one. Oh yes, of course, him. Yeah, absolutely. But I forget his real name, because he is so expected, like you. Or do you mean unexpected? Yes, absolutely. But what's the chap's real name? I forget his real name. Thomas. That's it. Yeah, you see, my memory just goes blank with these sorts of things. And let's see if we can pick out one more question. Let me scroll through to see what comes up. Favorite painter or favorite type of visual? Well, it's got to be a movie, a film. Okay, let me see if I can find another one. I'm intrigued by the little silver bottle by the daffodils. Is it a scent bottle? I don't know, but I think it must have been. I picked it up in an antiques shop in India many years ago. Now you're not going to be able to see this because I'm not going to be able to show you, focus it, but it's got an etching on it that looks like it's people maybe in Chinese garb or Japanese garb, I don't know, and it looks as though they're sort of tending a field or something, and I have no idea what it might have contained, but you can unscrew the top, and then you get, maybe somebody actually knows what this is. You get a little stick which has got like a sort of flattened bit at the end of it for applying things. I don't know what it would have been, but maybe some of you recognize it. Let me scroll down to the bottom again to see if no, so nobody's comment. Would it have been for poison? Yeah, maybe it would have been for poison. It is a scent bottle, says Maria. Okay, yeah, maybe it is. But I just liked it, so I got it in Mumbai. Or a snuff bottle. See, it could have been because of that little flattened bit. Okay, thank you very much. I think we need to call it a day because we have gone on for nearly an hour and 10 minutes. Thank you very much to all of you for tuning in. Thank you very much, especially for the super chat people. That was completely unexpected, but really welcome and lovely. Thank you very much. And once again, thank you so much to all of you for the last 13 years. Thank you for the kindness, for the support, for the generosity, for the encouragement, for the knowledge, for the good laughs. I always finish these videos with a huge smile on my face. And here's to another year, and wishing all of you lots and lots of good health. Stay tuned to social media for details of more videos coming soon. And in fact, I can tell you now that on Wednesday, so that'll be Wednesday the 15th of March, starting at 5 p.m. UK time, we're going to do a live here on this channel with Mr. Max 40. We haven't had him here for a while, so another one where you may want to start saving up some questions, because I think we're going to go for a sort of discussion type video again. So be good until then, and I will see you very, very soon. Take care now. Bye.